Hello there, I'm ArtsyGamer7, and welcome back to some more Creative Sim here on the channel. It has been a while since I've done a voiceover because things have happened. I already have, at the point of recording this, I have a few vlogs that was explaining what was going on, but the most recent one was announcing, I was back in business. So, yeah, hello, how you doing? This is the first D&D Creative Sim that will be going up on the channel since that vlog. I don't know exactly when I will be posting this. If it pops up on Saturday, then it's the first Creative Sim back on the channel. If not, then it will be Monday. I don't know if I'm going to do this or Legend of Zelda. I am trying to get the Creative Sims of this series to end around the same time of the build that I am doing alongside this for the D&D characters of mine. So yeah, depending on when I get into looking into how long the build is going to be taking, might depend on when I post this. But I've also probably recorded this character's Creative Sim voiceover plus the other two more than once, because I technically have had these created a while ago, but life happens. You buy a new house, you get engaged, you get married, new jobs. Things happen, and you sort of just have to go with the flow and realize when certain things need to be put on the back burner. But we are back. I actually am starting a new job tomorrow, at the time of recording this voiceover, so starting November 1st. I will not be working in retail anymore, and we're going to see how this works with creating videos. I actually will have a set schedule, so once I get into the swing of things, I might actually try to start streaming, so that's something maybe to look forward to if you want to. But let's actually get into today's Creative Sim video, which is a continuation of my D&D characters that I have created and try to actually make sim versions of them. You should have by now already been seeing the drawing I have done of this character. This character is Zahara Mordio. So she is like a princess type person, like chieftain, depending on, for the world of D&D, sometimes, you have your character and you have to slightly adjust your character for the campaign that the DM is making, whether it is one that is like an actual campaign that's been created or a homebrew campaign, whatever it may be, your characters have to find a way to slightly be molded into that story. So yeah, she would be like a princess or a daughter of a chief, that sort of situation, and her twin sister, which is the next character to follow her actually, would be next in line for the throne. But the thing is, with her backstory that I'm going to tell you right now, things definitely will not end up in that path for her. So basically, her parents are the type of rulers that, on the outside, and even to, like, their people, they seem like some of the best rulers you can have. They seem so caring and kind and loving, and even when the world and the town, the city is in a dark place, they believe that they are trying to do everything possible for their people. But in reality, for Zahara and her sister that eventually will show up in the next video, they see otherwise, and in some ways the way that they grew up, they had this falsehood, this belief that it was real, like that's how things were. But as they got older, their parents started teaching them sort of trickery ways of going about things, like, hey, if you do it this way, we reap more benefits, but to the people it seems like they're the ones that are having the more benefits, like we're taking the bigger sacrifice, but in reality that's not what it is. So tricky underhanded things, ways to make the people love and trust them, but in reality sort of smack their people in the face and give everything to them so that they have the better lives, that they keep up with this niceties, the things that they feel that they deserve, but their people just don't actually see that. The sisters really aren't necessarily very fond of that because, like I said, growing up, they sort of had this fantasy, this belief that their family was actually doing good for the people, and no matter what, their parents could do no wrong. And then as they got older, there was more of a realization that that was not the case. And in terms of Zahara here, she already mentally was a little unhinged. She's not a bad person, but she doesn't have the mental stability compared to her sister. But then I'll talk more about her sister later, but just a brief overview. Her sister doesn't have, like, the confidence like Zahara does. So, yeah. Anyway. Also, in my mind, the group of people that the Zahara comes from, they are either inherently gifted with magical abilities or skills of, like, long-range weaponry, so they just have an instant knack for either being able to cast spells and do magic, or they have amazing skills with the bow. So, there's something in their DNA of these people that they're inherently good at one or the other. And obviously, being like the royal bloodline or whatever, they're supposed to be, like, some people are even more in tuned into those enhancements and things like that. So I did want to take the two different routes with each sister. For Zahara here, she is the magical one. So she is the one who, which I think in this creative sim, I forgot to make her a spellcaster, but anyone who I decide that should be a certain occult, I think I talked about it in Willow's video, I'm going to turn her into, like, a werewolf. But yeah, anyone who I either forgot to make an occult that would make sense for them, or, you know, for, like, the werewolves with Willow, I technically made Willow before werewolves came out. So situations like that, I am going to adjust them before the little mini-series that's going to come out where we actually sort of stick them all into a mansion together and just see what chaos happens. But I will turn her into a spellcaster. I think, in fact, when I did the screenshots for the end of the video, I had already made her a spellcaster and everything. I even took her to, like, the magical realm and stuff to do photos. So yeah, Zahara is more magically inclined. She, even at a young age, she was experimenting with potions and spells and things like that. Her twin sister usually was the one that she tested some of these things on. So sadly, her sister had to reap some of the side effects, but they are still very close. And Zahara didn't really see a problem. Like I said, she's not totally mentally connected, but she is very talented. She is very smart, and even though she's a little bit crazy, she does actually have sort of this natural-born leaderness to her. So, she may be crazy, but there's a chance that she could be a good ruler, and she, even though she's crazy, she also has this part of her that's like, you need to treat the people with respect, and she doesn't like how things are going on, and she's trying to step up and fix that. But problem is, because of her thought process and stuff, she ends up convincing her sister to help her with something to sort of make sure that the city goes under better rule, or something is done about it, but she takes it to an extreme. And basically, something happens to her parents because of the two girls. I will say it definitely is more of Zahara than the sister, but the sister definitely played a part. But what ends up happening in the town, in the community, they become divided. Because it's not exactly figured out for sure what happened and how it happened and who played the bigger role. But half of the people are like, Zahara wouldn't do that. She would be the better ruler to take the place of her parents. And then the other half want the sister because they think Zahara is insane. So there is a divide that becomes from this, and the people start causing uproars, and things do not go to the plan that Zahara and her sister were hoping. They realize that there is, at this current time, no way that both of them can stay in the town, but they also don't want to separate from each other. So they actually end up running away together to try to eventually figure out one, to hone their skills, to get stronger, for like Zahara to practice her magic more and be able to protect herself without hurting people and get to a point where she can feel that she can go back and confidently talk to them and be like explaining what has happened. Like, hey, our parents were not who they seem to you all. This is why this happened. But as of right now, that isn't really working. So, but anyway, at this point in time, like in the D&D world, I put her around the age of 29. She is 5'4". I technically am giving her like a homebrew race that I sort of created. Their race is slightly inspired by a group of people from a game, Fire Emblem, actually. So, if you know, which is funny because I partially named Zahara what she was because it sounded very familiar to one of the characters that was from that. But if you know Henry and Tarja from Fire Emblem, those group of people, slightly loosely is what I'm basing them off of, but adding my own twist of things. Obviously with those people, they are mostly magic. But part of the reason why I took the bow thing was with Tarja, her kid ends up being a bowmaster. So yeah, I took some inspiration from there, but then tweaked it and changed it a little bit to myself, my way, what I wanted it. But it's like sort of a desert race that is very similar to humans, but I wanted it to be slightly different because they can stand certain temperatures in desert life more than like maybe regular humans, and they just have this effect of having like the inherent magical or great with a certain type of weapons abilities that are just automatically in their DNA. They're just not totally normal humans, but they are very close to being similar to humans, but they have slight differences. I also partially want to say that they live longer than humans, but not like significantly longer. So yeah, they're sort of like a homebrew race, with taking a little bit of magic type things like elves and humans and mixing it. And anyway, but yeah, so that is Tarja from I said Zahara, not Tarja, Zahara from my D&D side of things. As far as her Sims 4 side of things, to translate her into Sims, I did give her the purveyor of potions because she is a spellcaster and she does have magic, but the part of her that really loves experimenting with potions is always there. Like, magic is an inherent thing to her, but potions she can experiment with and play around with. So I did give her that. Eventually I want to hopefully use a mod, like I've been saying in all these, to give them 5 traits. So hopefully that mod is still good to go whenever I start this little mini-series. But if not, the main traits I gave her, just in case I can still only have 3, is genius, erratic, and paranoid. Creative and unflirty will be added if possible, because I imagine she's not really concerned about a love life. If she finds love somehow, cool. If not, whatever. Creative just comes from her playing around, experimenting, stuff like that. Paranoid would be the fact that, she's running away right now. She's constantly looking over her back, afraid something's going to happen, someone's going to come get her. The erratic side is just that little bit of insaneness that she has. She's not fully there, but I love her for it. And genius because, like I said, I believe she definitely is the smarter one. She's the brain behind the 2 sisters here. But I love Zahara. I love both of them, but I admit if I had to pick of the 2 sisters which one I was going to play in a D&D setting, I would be playing Zahara and just tell my DM, hey, here's the sister. She plays an integral part of this character. Do it with her as you will. But I want to be Zahara. Because I love her, and I love how her sim turned out as well. I think she is absolutely stunning and amazing, and I love her, and I think she looks pretty close to, as close to my drawing as I get. I was pretty happy with this character, all in all. I hope you like her as well. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below of the Zahara's story, how she turned out as a sim, all that lovely stuff, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one, which will be talking about Zahara's twin sister. So, until then, bye-bye!